Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is having a great start to your day. My name is Brian Bauman. I am a analyst on our Image One Automate team. I appreciate everybody that could join today in our webinar series here of Transforming Tomorrow Today. Today's topic is going to be around AP automation. It's a topic that we still talk about very frequently in regards to a lot of automation opportunities, and something that we have a lot of experience in. So look forward to sharing a little bit more with you. We'll go through some of the common pains that we see today still. Talk about what AP automation actually looks like, and then we'll just get right into a live demonstration as to what that all looks like as a whole. So, kicking things off here, there's still a lot of problems that we see today around this department as a whole. It's one of those things that we hear a lot of. It's the way we've always done things. So a lot of the things that we see today revolve around manual data entry or double data entry. The manual data entry is bad enough, but having to do it twice is just a complete waste of time. Not having visibility into a document status. So as documents flow through whatever workflow you have internally, not knowing exactly either whose desk it's sitting on, where it's at in the process, and it just bogs teams down in regards to searching, which goes right into the lost time of searching for documents. There's no value in the time spent for searching for anything. There's a statistic out there that 30% of our days go into searching for documents, data, contracts, different things like that. And it's just a necessary evil that goes into everybody's day-to-day, and not something that ever gets audited as to, is there a better way of doing this? Routing for approvals is just manual. A lot of times email we see very frequently being that one piece of utilizing that for a workflow, and everybody has that pain of trying to find something in your email and trying to keep up with your email. They just get bogged down with so many communications in our day-to-day that it's very frequently forgot about when you have an approval that needs to be done. Lack of audit trails, just not having any status as to, okay, what happened on this document throughout the entire life cycle of it, from the time that it got into the organization to the time that it's stored for 7, 10, forever years, however long that is. And then one thing that we see very frequently is this SharePoint and cloud storage. And I say trap because it's, a lot of people think of this as something that we're digital, so we're automated, and that is absolutely not the case. A lot of times we actually see these bog teams down even more. So just because you're digital does not mean that you're automated, and there's still tons of opportunity to actually manage those documents, not just store those documents as a whole. So getting into what does AP automation actually look like? And I have a workflow here that kind of walks through step by step as to, okay, a document coming into the organization to it being stored. So where is that time savings? Where is that ROI? Where are we going to actually, benefit from this? So a big piece of that is getting the documents into the organization, cutting that data entry time by up to 95%. This is something that there's just no value in the time keying information into systems. So have a tool that can extract that data for you instantly. Automated validation, there's a lot of invoices that come into organizations that have either already been approved, or you understand how much it's going to be, or it should be under a certain dollar amount, and humans are still looking at these things, and it's just a time spent that isn't needed. Approval times, as I mentioned before, cutting that by 80%, having live status of documents where they sit and escalating when needed, where you're not the one escalating. We can have the system actually escalate those things for you and get that time back in your day. All this goes into the decisions that need to be made here in the middle then of what actually happens with those documents, who needs to see them, what supporting documents need to go into the mix with those. And then once we have all that good, clean, approved data, now exporting that to whatever core system that you need, whether that's a CRM, ERP, whatever financial system that these invoices are flowing into. And big one here is going to be cutting that search time. There's, again, no value in the time spent searching for documents. And how can we get instant access to the documents, to the data, to the question, getting the questions answered instantly without bogging down your team. So there's a cost of doing nothing in this, and the cost of doing nothing is things continue to speed up in this world, and everybody's forced to do more with less. So what we commonly see is that manual AP processes cost on average 3 to 5 times more than an automated process. 10 to 14 day cycle times with documents, and these documents have timelines to them. There's early pay discounts that maybe you can take advantage of, or at least let's not get charged late payments for something that, it's just we're getting assessed these late payments because it hasn't gone through the process fast or efficiently enough. And those things aside, one thing that I always drill home on is employee burnout. The manual process that leads to this is just it decreases team morale. It's just not a fun thing to do when you have to constantly follow up with documents, constantly manually input data off of documents. It's just a lot of redundant work and manual work that can be done better, and that's something that is incredibly important today, because finding help is hard, and then throw the word good in front of help, and that's even harder. So there's absolutely a cost of doing nothing in this world. And, we look forward to having conversations around what can actually be done. So hop into the demo here in a second, and just queuing up what we're actually going to look at here is how we're going to automate the data extraction, how we're going to get these documents in and instantly get the data points off that we need. Instantly storing things. So little reverse from how processes typically go is they go through a process and then get stored. We'll show how documents get stored and then go through a process. It keeps control over those documents throughout the life cycle. I'll show 3 different invoices with 3 different sets of rules behind them of things that need to happen on those documents based on whatever's coming in. Give you live status updates on where invoices are sitting, of course, ease of searching, as I mentioned before, and then what it looks like to queue up that data to eventually push them into the ERP, integrate that in, and have less data entry from end to end there. So I'll hop into the demo environment here, and the screen that you're looking at is Docuware. This is Docuware's user interface, and this is where you would interact with documents in the system. So there's really only 4 functions you can take on documents once we get them in. The document tray is going to be a place for them to land. Search is self-explanatory, but of course incredibly valuable in reducing that amount of time spent. Lists is going to be a dashboard of where documents sit in a status, and tasks is going to be a workflow step that actually needs to happen. So I'm logged in as Peggy. She's our accounting clerk in this demo environment here. And all different kinds of ways we can get documents in. We can monitor email addresses. If you're still getting paper invoices, we can have a button set up right at your scanner, automatically routes them to Docuware. In this case, I have just a network structure out here. I'm just going to grab a few invoices here and bring them into the system. And I'll just drag and drop them into the document tray here. And the first thing that's going to happen when they land here is Docuware is going to start reading these invoices saying, have I seen this before? And now me as a system, I'm going to give you my confidence of the data that we got off of it. So it color codes it green, yellow, or red if had never seen the document before. And you can see I have 2 greens and a yellow here. You can view the document on the right-hand side here, but I want to get right into what data that this actually got off. So I'm going to go ahead and now store these, and I'm going to store it in our accounts payable file cabinet. And now on the left-hand side here, you can see all the data points that Docuware got off of this invoice instantly. No human had to key anything in, and you can still look at this data, validate it. Okay, totals for 483.91, great, 483.91, and I'm just going to go ahead and store this. So this one is going to be routed to somebody else, and I'll go through each one of these individually as they come in here. So I'll store this one. The storage experts one, again, got all these data points off, but you'll notice on this one we require line item detail on. So it pulled the line items off of this instantly as well. And it's also going to be looking for a purchase order and a packing slip on the back end too as supporting documents. And I'll show what that looks like. And the last one here is going to be just a supplies-based invoice. Again, data points all got off here. And one last quick validation before I store it. Everything looks good, but this one's going to have a rule in place that that if it's underneath a certain dollar amount, accounting can just approve it. But if it goes over a certain dollar amount, it needs to be routed to somebody else. So I'll store that one. And now you can see what's happening up here is we're getting these kind of social media bubbles, and it keeps track of these things for you and tells you where documents need action taken on them. So if I go into my lists here, I have invoices that have been active for up to 2 days, invoices active 2 to 5 days, and invoices active more than 5 days. So you can see real time what's actually going on with these documents and see where things might be falling behind. So if it lands in this 2 to 5 day bucket, you know where that time should be spent and work backwards to the newer ones. So the second piece here is going to be the tasks, and these are the pieces that are associated with a workflow. So decisions that actually need to be made on this. And a couple different things happened here is one, this storage expert's invoice that had this line item detail, it kicked it off into a step and said, hey, there's some reconciliation that needs to be done here. And it shows instantly, hey, there's a quantity deviation that is wrong with this invoice. So if I scroll over here, I can see instantly, okay, yep, there's a back ordered quantity on here. And you can see right on the invoice over here as well. Yes, there's a back ordered quantity. That's perfect. Okay, no problem. I'm going to be expecting another invoice in. So whatever your business rules are today is what we mirror in these configurations. So what needs to happen next? Do you want to put it on hold? Do you want to wait until an actual invoice, the supporting invoice comes in and the PO can be closed out completely? All those decisions can be done. It's just understanding what actually needs to be done. I can just go ahead and confirm this, no problem. Another one came in here, and this is that supplies-based invoice. The business rule here is if it's underneath $200, accounting can just approve this. And you can see this invoice is less than $200, so I'm just going to complete this process. And what happened also was this invoice got split up between 3 different GL accounts. So now you can see instantly this was done by the system as well, and all GLs that come out of your ERP and core systems as well. So I can complete this process, no problem. But there's still one that was sitting out there, one that actually needed to be routed. So it was, I think it was the rapid transport invoice. And what happened was I actually got an email in to me, and this got routed to Elizabeth Cash in this instance, because she's going to be the one that always approves rapid transport. Anytime an invoice comes in from rapid transport, it should automatically go to her. So as you saw, when I stored it, I didn't need another step and say, hey, I need to route this to her. This automatically went out to her. So I'll show you what it looks like. I'm logged in as Peggy right now. Just going to do a quick log out and log back in as Elizabeth in this case. And you'll see she'll have a task here waiting for her. And she needs to approve this invoice. So it tells her exactly what needs to be done. Rapid Transport has presented an invoice from the amount of $483.91. Please select the appropriate decision. So she has 2 decisions that she can make: approve or reject. So if she's going to reject it, well, one, let's force a reason in here. Why are you rejecting this? So accounting doesn't come back and say, well, we got this invoice. What do you want us to do with it? Well, here's the reason why we're rejecting it. Or in this case, I can just hit approve and hit confirm, and all is done there. So I'll go back into Peggy, who is our accountant again, and see some things that happened in the background. Here is another one came in, and you can see, hey, here's this invoice that was approved by Elizabeth. Awesome. It was approved on 12/17. And now she can go ahead and complete this as well. If there's any other steps that need to be done or additional routing that needs to happen, we can, of course, set up all those different kinds of rules as needed. So when I click in this list here now, you can see instantly as well where the documents actually sit in a status. This is one thing that's, again, really hard to understand where documents are sitting. So you can see this rapid transport is just waiting on that final approval. And storage experts, there's a detailed bill that was started on that. And I go back over to here, and you can see my storage experts, and maybe you want to see the supporting documents on this just to validate something against it. Or, okay, well, why is there a back ordered quantity? Does this need to go back to purchasing? But you can see here, if I click on this multi-way match documents, you can see all the supporting documents behind it. So my purchase order that was created initially, and the packing slip that was received by in the shipping department, and there's that invoice in there. And you can also see that the subtotal went down because we're still waiting on a certain dollar amount. So it did that calculation automatically for you as well. So last thing I'm going to show you is that ease of searching. And I'm just going to complete one of these so we can see what that looks like as well. The ease of searching for documents. You're going to get all kinds of questions. Everybody gets questions on documents every single day as they flow into the organization. So first thing I want to point out is maybe an email communication comes in and you want to store this as a supporting communication behind that document. So you can see there's a full integration with Outlook. So you can store these documents right to Docuware from your actual email. Ease of use, ease of keeping track of those communications. But there's a handful of different questions here. Who did we buy iced tea from last? Well, historically, you're going to have to go back into a file cabinet or file structure and say, okay, well, I don't know. I don't even know who the vendor is. I'm just going to do a quick highlight on this. And this is a built-in feature of Docuware. And I have a predefined key combination that when I hit it, it automatically executes a search and brings up all the supporting documents instantly that I can see with that. So I can see instantly here's my invoice in, and it's actually going to highlight for me right on the document where it actually pulled that data point from. In this case, we didn't store the invoice by iced tea, but everything's full text OCR'd on these documents. So any one word that you're searching for, you can find in these documents. And this one's right smack dab in the middle. So it's kind of searching for a needle in the haystack, especially if you don't know the original vendor that it came in from. Or one more example here that I'll show you is, hey, can you please get me this invoice for this invoice number? And one last quick search. That key combination that I have again instantly calls Docuware and instantly calls up that invoice again. So this, I can't state enough how important it is to get that valuable time. This bogs down teams. There's no value in the time spent for searching. So getting that key data, getting the right documents or the right answers to the right people at the right time without bogging down your teams is incredibly important to streamlining and automating this. But everybody has different cases for this, but one thing I want to reiterate is everything that I showed you here is a demo. And one thing that we do with everybody is go through whatever your processes are. So what we want to make sure we're doing is showing what you need to see. So if you have questions on this, please don't hesitate to reach out. These are fun conversations to have. One thing we hear all the time is, oh, we've always done things a certain way, or so-and-so in the accounting department, it loves their paper and they're not going to change anything. And I challenge that very frequently, because what we historically have heard is a lot of people in those departments just don't know a different way, have never been presented a different way, and don't have the right team in place or right partner in place to be able to say, okay, well, here's what it is today and here's what it could be tomorrow for you. And at the end of the day, that's what we want to look at, is how we can transform tomorrow today. Today just starts with one of those conversations of what it could look like. So don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. Again, I appreciate everybody hopping on. Hope this is informative, and look forward to next month's session where we'll share a little bit more. But I hope you all have a great day. Take care.